August 9th, 2022. Time is 1:33 p.m. And this is a brief meeting led by our two directors, Nick Snyder, Parks and Waterways, David Callahan, Director of Community Development, and also joining us is Danielle McQuaid, our attorney, addressing us in this matter. It is a special meeting agenda. Do we have any changes to the agenda?
No.
Hearing none, attending Commissioners Duncan, Brooks, and Filios. First item of business, which has the only item, 4 parts, open space and park development bond. There is an action item called for, potentially. First item, bond funding options. Who would like to lead us?
I'm happy to. Good afternoon, Commissioners. Nick Snyder for the record. Well, hopefully you've had an opportunity to review the bond funding options that was produced by Eric, and it shows a scenario there, and I know you're aware, but we'll just say for the record, this is predicated on current values, contemplating an election November of 2022. And Eric, as you stated, is on the line, so specific questions as to the formulation and how that works, I'll defer to him for any questions, but it's broke down in $10 million increments, 30, 40, and 50, respectively, so you have a good depiction of what those costs would look like as you make your decision, and that is where we're hoping today to receive direction from the board as to the amount you would like us to pursue in the bond, among some other items.
Okay. So who's next? Do you want us to give you an amount? Is that what you're looking for now?
Ultimately,
Well,
yes.
Well, you guys had suggested 50 million. Is that correct?
yes.
Has that changed?
No, but would you like me to talk about it?
Well, yeah, please.
Nick has detailed information. My view is this is all about strategy.
Okay, go ahead.
You three are in the best position to know what strategy is best for this county. My own thought is that you either are of a mind that 30 million is easier for people to accept and it's a small fee and they're not going to quibble, and then we come back 5 years from now, ask for more, or $68 once a year is insignificant, let's just go for it all and you're done, one and done. That it's entirely a judgment call, in my view, based on strategy. With that, I'll turn to Nick.
Well stated. So I don't want to go into a lot of detail, but just as an example of the change per 10 million, if the county was to put forth a bond for 30 million and it passed, we would be able to purchase and develop approximately 200 acres at 150,000 per acre. At 30 million, at 40 million, we'd be able to purchase and develop 266 acres, and at 50 million, 333 acres. So you can see it's fairly significant, an increase in the amount of land that we're able to both purchase and develop per $10 million increment. So I think that's one way to look at it, what you're getting for each incremental increase.
What do you guys think?
I like the middle one where it says 10 cents per $1,000. I think that's very easy for people to understand. I mean, if you're going to go out and educate, what you're really doing is you're marketing the idea. And you have to, 10 cents makes a lot of sense to people.
Messaging matters.
That's about all I got. The other thing is timing it. People are so anti any kind of tax increase or anything else, you're going to have to really sell it.
Well, and I think are you more anti-growth or are you more anti-taxes? I think that's where it's going to come down to this. You want to save property, then it means taxes. If you don't want to save any land, then you don't have to pay for it. So I think it's going to be easy messaging myself. This is a hard one. Obviously, it's going to be easier to sell the 30 million. It's just easier. But when you look at 200 acres versus 333 acres, that's a big deal. Is there any way that we can start out the messaging and start out the education and see what the pulse is, see what the temperature is? If people are like, hey, go for 333 acres, don't mess with 200, or I mean, is that something that we have
There
to?
is.
Okay,
We could do a survey that's statistically valid. There's a method to that. And the downside is they cost $20,000, $30,000 to do. Statistically valid surveys cost that kind of real money. But you get this empirical data that helps you with that kind of decision. Because statistically valid surveys give you some real assurance that what people are telling us is valid.
sure. Yeah, I don't know if I want to do that.
Or you can do something on Facebook. It's not going to be,
Yeah,
and
it's
it's not
not-
going to be
right.
statistically valid. And then you might get the people that just feel strongly one way or the other, but people will feel strongly one way or the other when it comes down to voting. So, I don't know. I'm of the opinion that you put something before them. If you give people a choice, look out. And what happens is the process gets dragged out. You get a lot of opinions. If people don't get their particular way, then they basically join the opposition. I think we should make a decision as to what we want to go out with. I don't know. I think 30 million is going to be easier to sell. How much open space do you need? And how much will people take advantage of?
1,000 acres is how much open space?
Commissioners, with the comments, weighing the comments, looking at Facebook posts and groups, and as David's aware, and certainly the commissioners in our office is aware, there has been a large interest in acquiring land, not just on the prairie, I think that's the primary, but in other areas as well throughout the county to ensure that we have a community that is well balanced, and that there's open space for the public.
Yeah, but they haven't seen the cost yet.
Indeed, and I do know this is far beyond our capability to fund. It should be a decision, in my opinion, of course, and I know this board agrees as well, of the people. Let them decide what they want their community to look like, and what they're willing to pay. $70 a year, approximately thereof, for $50 million. It's going to be an individual decision. I'm not sure how much it will sway someone between $55 at 40 million and $68 at 50. I think it's a matter of whether they support the endeavor, not so much the nickels.
Yeah, but see, in their minds, Nick, they're thinking, okay, $50 a year for you, $60 a year for the school, $70 a year for that one, and the cash register's running in their minds. I could go for any one of these, but leadership means being a leader, and being a leader means taking the reins and going forward. I think we ought to put a stake in the ground and pick one of them. It's just that simple. If you put it out there and say, would you rather have this, that, or that, I think you're going to have a mess on your hands come time to make the decision. I think we decide what we want to put forward and let the people decide from at that point. I can go with any of them. I just think at 30 mil, you have a better chance of passage. I don't care. You guys want to go with the middle one? Go with the middle one. Leslie, what do you think?
Well, I think that 200 acres does not look as good as 333 acres, and for another, $27 a year. Well, that's per 100,000, so times that times 6. Can you, back that down a little bit?
Yeah, you're looking at about $180. A little bit
Yeah, I
less
mean,
than
I
that.
agree. If this is something that we really hope passes, then 30 million is going to be our best bet. If it's something that, will put a bigger stake out there than the 50 million. So I don't have strong feelings one way or the other.
If they want it, the question is, how much do they want it?
Right. And that's what I wish we could, I wish the ballot question could say, okay, what do you support? And then we just get to add all the numbers
you could
together
do
for
that.
I don't know, not with a 66
Oh, yeah.
It's
Oh, I'm
66
sorry,
and
that's right,
two-thirds.
that's right.
Yeah.
Right, that's not going to work.
No.
I don't know. If you're worried about it failing, then it's going to fail. You know, I mean, it's either going to pass or it's not. And I think to Leslie's point,
You know,
if it doesn't pass at 40, is it going to pass at 30? I don't know.
right. Danielle, can I ask you that question? In your experience with running some of these bonds, are we selling ourselves short with 30? Are we asking too much at 50? Do you have any pulse on what your company has run the last couple cycles?
You know, I would say, commissioners, that it's more about the project and the education campaign than it is usually about the tax impact and the actual dollar amount. I think it's more about how invested are the taxpayers in the project. So if you think the taxpayers really want open space, I think more is going to be better. But Eric might want to weigh in on that as well.
Yeah, this is Eric Herringer, Commissioners. If I could make a couple comments.
Yeah, please.
Okay, thank you. Again, Eric Herringer with Piper Sandler, for the record. One thing I wanted to point out with regard to the summary worksheet that I believe you have and are looking at, as it's noted in footnote 1, all these tax impact calculations are based on September 2021 market value. I believe that the September 2022 market values, while not fully final because of the operating property that needs to be assigned and assessed by the tax commission, which is out of the county's assessor's control. But generally, what I think I understand is that that number is up potentially 30%, if not more. At least that's what I'm seeing in other parts of the state. So if this were to go out for the November election, we would update these tax impacts and use the more current market value to calculate tax impact. Just I did a quick calculation of a 30% increase in your market value, and that $50 million project would have a tax impact of just under 10 cents. So, that if the 10 cents, I heard one of the commissioners say, is a potential selling point. I think, when we get that new market value, the $50 million will be 10 cents, and everything else will adjust down by about 3 cents. It's not a big move, but just a point of clarification that I think is important. And then I agree with Danielle that it's really, the difference between 30 and 50. Well, as an individual, 20 million is a big number, but given the size of your tax base, the impacts are pretty minimal, and it's really more about support for the project, the concept of acquiring open space, and as opposed to the specific dollar amount. As long as we're not talking something that's going to break the bank. But that's generally been my observation on these things.
And there's a potential, too, that we could get somebody who wanted to work with the county, and therefore it would be less than 150,000 acres. So if we did 50 million, we could get 600 acres. I mean, we don't know. So I guess I'd be inclined to, even though it'd be a harder sell, go with the 50.
I agree. Bill,
Okay.
let's do it. 50.
All right, now the timing. So once again, you put it in November, it's probably going to lose. You put it November of 23, you got a whole, 13, 14 months to educate. So I would probably favor the 2023.
23.
Okay?
Yeah. Do you want to go sooner? You don't want to do it like in a May or in August?
I don't.
No.
Oh, August would be dead. That,
August would be dead.
no.
May, you don't really have primaries.
We will, but it's for the small taxing districts, and it's the turnout is
Okay.
going to be not good, so.
Makes sense. November 23. Next.
Okay,
Market value options.
Yes, going back to what Eric said, and I'm going to defer to you, Eric, it's Nick Snyder for the record, regarding using those September 22 values. So it was a question posed to us by Piper Sandler in an email, and I want to make sure that we get that on the record as to which values the commissioners would like to use. Sounds like, if I heard Eric correctly, September 22 seems to make more sense. Eric, do you have any more comments on that?
Yeah, and I might defer to Danielle a little bit. I think we're required, and when we get to the point of having Danielle, remind me, do we have the ballot disclosures that need to disclose the estimated cost per 100,000 per county bonds?
Yes, we do.
But that's not just a school thing.
Nope.
Okay, so I believe what Danielle will say is that when we do our disclosures about the cost per 100,000 the voters will actually see on the ballot, it says that we need to use current conditions, and current conditions will be at the time the election documents are prepared. So if you're looking at a November of 2023 election, then we would actually probably want to and need to be required to use the September 2023 values, which we don't know what they are. In less than a couple of weeks, we'll have finalized September 2022, and we can rerun this analysis and say, here's what it would cost based on current market value, but recognizing that it would get updated one more time, arguably lowering the cost per 100,000 because likely the market value would grow.
or at least stay the same. I mean, I don't see us, even if the rest of the country starts to go, we'll level off or we'll continue to grow. I don't see Kootenai County as going below at this point. So I'm good with that education materials will just have to say as of September 22 values, but the ballot will say September 23 values. And probably next year we might be able to know the values before September. We'll see.
One would hope.
Yeah. So.
Okay, you probably will be looking at lower values than current, but, because we're already starting to see a turn, but we'll see.
Yeah, but leveling off, I think, maybe.
Yeah, we're doing that now, actually.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't see us going backwards.
I do.
Really?
You know why? We've never missed a recession. We track the rest of the country. In 2008, they said we were different. We went down 35%, so did Boise. We're not different. If California gets hit, it's going to ripple right through.
But it's usually a little bit later than California, a year or two.
We lag,
Yeah.
Anyway, okay. Request for funding. So we're okay there? Did we answer item C?
C is done.
Yes.
Yeah, September 23?
Yeah, Eric was pretty clear on that,
Okay.
Danielle. So, item number D is request for funding. And so Danielle, I'm going to want you to weigh in, help us out here so I don't get myself in trouble. And that is that, Commissioners, I'm recommending that we earmark some funding necessary to provide the public with clear and concise information from the county. And there may be some other, grassroots groups out there that will carry whatever message they want to carry about the importance of it. But from the county perspective, quote, just the facts. And so to that end, I'd like to have the board's authorization to hire a local private firm with a maximum amount not to exceed $20,000 over the course of this endeavor, to get that message out, and of course have Pat Braden and Daniel Quaid proof anything that goes out from that firm to ensure that we're not championing it. And I think you understand where we're going, just a non-biased, here are the facts, here's the cost, this is what this is for, here, not a benefit or pros and cons, just these are the facts, and let Daniel and Pat help us through that process.
That's fine. So that would run between now and November of '23.
Yes.
So would this be part of your budget then? Are you gonna keep track of that, or David's budget, or where's it gonna land?
Yeah, it's up to the board to determine how they want to run that. I can certainly manage those invoices and have the board pay them out of the board's budget or general fund. You know, maybe that's a discussion we can come back. I'd like to talk with Jennifer and her team. Maybe there's some.
What are we
Yeah.
looking at in contingency?
Well, I don't
Hit
know that.
quite hard, haven't we?
No, we actually haven't yet. We might at the end of the year. My concern is this is not really a contingent issue. The other thing is, we don't have a firm on board. So actually, it can be after the next fiscal year, and we can come back and take fund balance or just look at, know that Nick can't support this in his budget. So come 6 to 8 months next year, we may need to, move some stuff around. So I don't think this particular funding needs to be solidified this second. It's just, do we agree that,
In principle.
Yeah, we can always determine the source later, yeah.
yeah.
Commissioners, I'm pleased to reach out to some local firms, bring in some proposals back for your consideration, and work with Jennifer and her team to maybe identify some funds, and then the board can approve then in the new fiscal year. We
Yeah.
have time.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, that's what I want to double check. So
so we're
yeah,
good?
I think I'm good.
Yes.
It is listed as an action item.
It is
though.
listed as an action item, that's correct.
Yeah, they have direction though. I don't know. Pat, do you need any action here, or is direction all right?
I think on the funding option, the timing option, I think a motion is probably appropriate. On the other two, I think direction is sufficient.
Okay, I missed the first one. The second one was funding option. What was the first one?
Timing.
Actually, that was the first one, but the second one was the bond timing option, having the election in November of 23,
Okay. All right, so then,
which is what I with the board to agree to.
yes.
Okay,
So I move that we schedule the bond to be on the November 23 general election, and that we consider funding sources going forward for the education and outreach.
I second the motion.
Bill Brooks.
Aye.
Commissioner Duncan.
Aye.
Chairman Philios.
aye, and the motion is carried. Public comment?
Chairman Elios and commissioners, I think a motion would be appropriate on 1A bond funding options, just to have it formally on the record that you are seeking $50 million.
Okay,
Okay.
that makes sense.
Sure, and then I move that we put forward the education and bond measure for 50 million.
I second the motion.
Bill Brooks.
Aye.
Commissioner Duncan.
Aye.
Chairman Philios.
Aye, motion is approved. Public comment? None, 1:57, meeting adjourned. Cool.